Disabled daughter just like any other day, with his loyal service dog walking beside him. But the moment he stepped into the school, something felt wrong. The hallway was too quiet. The teachers wouldn't look at him. And his daughter, she moved slowly, her eyes dim, like she had been crying for hours. Then, the service dog stopped, its body tense, its gaze fixed on her sleeve. When the fabric shifted, he saw them. Bruises, dark, painful, hidden. Someone had hurt her. But who and why? Stay tuned. Before that day, their lives were quiet, steady, and built around routine. The veteran had learned to live with the weight of his past, memories of battle, loss, and sacrifice that never fully faded. His daughter was his reason to keep going. She was gentle, bright, and brave in her own way, facing the world with challenges most children never knew. Her disability didn't define her. It only made her father love her more fiercely. Every morning, he walked her to the school gate with his service dog at his side. The dog wasn't just trained to assist him. He was family, protector, and constant reminder that loyalty can save a man's life. The teachers at the school knew their routine. They smiled politely, said the right words, and acted supportive. Or at least that's what he believed. His daughter always returned home with stories about art projects, about classmates, about playing outside. She was soft-spoken, but when she felt safe, her laughter could fill a room. Her father lived for that laughter. But lately, something had shifted. She had grown quieter, more withdrawn. She stopped talking about school. She avoided eye contact when he asked about her day. The dog noticed it too, restless at night, pacing the hall, watching her door as if guarding from something he couldn't see. Little signs that something was wrong. But small signs are easy to ignore when you're trying to believe the world is kind. He thought she was just tired, or maybe overwhelmed. He had no idea that the place he trusted had already betrayed her. And soon, he would learn the truth. The change had begun quietly. At first, it was the way teachers avoided him when he came to pick her up. They no longer met his eyes. They no longer greeted him with polite smiles. They simply handed his daughter over and disappeared back into the building. It felt strange, but he tried not to assume the worst. He had seen things in his life that made him cautious. He wanted to believe this place was good. But the service dog sensed what he did not. Every day, the dog leaned closer to the child, watching her body language, pressing its head against her arm as if trying to comfort her. The father noticed, but he didn't understand. Not yet. The signs grew louder. She stopped drawing pictures at home. She no longer asked to go outside. Her body seemed tense, like she was waiting for something to hurt. Sometimes, he found her staring blankly at the wall, hands trembling, breath unsteady. The service dog would sit close, a silent shield, as if guarding her from something unseen. And then, the bruises appeared. Small ones at first, hidden, easily dismissed as accidents. But they began to form patterns. Patterns that didn't match simple falls or bumps. Patterns that suggested hands, grip, force. The father's chest tightened. His mind raced. But he didn't want to believe it, because to believe it would mean facing a truth far darker. Then came the day the dog refused to leave the school hallway. It planted its feet firmly, eyes fixed on a classroom farther down the corridor. The father followed its gaze. His daughter was sitting alone near the back of the room, while other children sat together. She wasn't just separated, she was isolated. The teacher walked around the room, laughing with some students, ignoring others. But when she glanced at the little girl, her expression changed. Cold, sharp, disdainful. And he recognized that look. He had seen it before, in places where men were judged not by who they were, but by what they looked like. It was a look of superiority, a look that decided who was worth kindness and who was not. His daughter wasn't just being mistreated, she was being targeted. Whispers reached him from other parents, small comments, passing remarks, hints of what went on when he wasn't there. The way the teacher spoke to his daughter, the way the other kids were encouraged to treat her, the quiet humiliation, the subtle exclusion, the message that she was lesser, different, undeserving, and all of it happened behind closed doors, where no one would question the teacher's authority, where a disabled child's silence could be mistaken for acceptance. The father felt the familiar burn inside him, the same one he felt on battlefields, the slow rising fire of anger mixed with heartbreak. But still, he needed proof. He needed to see for himself. And soon, he would. Because the next day, he wouldn't just come to pick her up. He would come to watch. He would come to learn the truth. And the truth would break him. The next day, he arrived early. He didn't walk in through the front entrance. He stayed silent near the side hallway, hidden enough to watch without being seen. His service dog stayed close, alert, its breathing steady, but its muscles tense, as if it already knew what was coming. From a small window in the classroom door, he finally saw what he had been trying so hard not to believe. His daughter sat alone, her head lowered, hands folded tightly in her lap. She wasn't allowed to join the other children at the table. When she tried to move closer, the teacher placed a hand on her shoulder, not gently, not patiently, but with force, enough to make the child flinch, enough to leave marks. It wasn't just neglect, it was cruelty. Cruelty disguised as authority. He watched his daughter struggle to express something. Fear, confusion, longing for kindness. The teacher responded, with impatience and harshness, treating her as if she were a burden rather than a child. The other students laughed quietly, encouraged not by words but by example. A lesson taught without being spoken. His chest tightened so hard he could barely breathe. All the discipline he had learned during war began to fracture under the weight of helpless rage. The memories he had fought to bury, every loss, every scream, every moment of violence rose to the surface. The service dog pressed its body against his leg, grounding him, reminding him to hold on, reminding him that his daughter needed him calm and clear. But when the teacher grabbed her arm once more, fingers digging into the same bruised skin he had seen the day before, the father stepped forward, not with violence, not with shouting, but with a presence that filled the room, heavy, unbreakable, unstoppable. The teacher froze. The classroom fell silent. And for the first time, his daughter looked up, not with fear, but with relief, because her protector had arrived. And the truth was no longer hidden. What followed did not happen loudly. There were no raised voices, no chaos, no anger unleashed. Instead, everything unfolded with quiet certainty. The father gathered his daughter into his arms, the service dog standing protectively beside them. He walked her out of that classroom, down the silent hallway, and out of the school that had promised safety, but delivered harm. The truth came out quickly after that. Other stories emerged, other children, other parents, patterns of neglect, discrimination, and targeted cruelty, hidden behind polite smiles and polished reputations. The teacher was removed. The administration was forced to answer for what they allowed. But none of that erased the pain. Healing did not come overnight. It came slowly, in gentle touches, safe spaces, and patient, quiet moments. The father learned to read the silent emotions his daughter carried. The service dog never left her side, watching over her as if guarding what was left of her innocence, and little by little her laughter began to return. Softer at first, fragile, but real. But something changed in the father, too. He had faced battlefields before. He had faced loss. But this was different. This was a reminder that cruelty does not always look like violence. Sometimes, it hides behind authority. It hides in the way a child is treated when no one is watching. It hides in the silence of those who choose not to see. Racism doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. And those whispers can break a child's spirit just as deeply as any wound. So the question remains, how many children are suffering in silence right now, waiting for someone to notice?